truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Okay, thank you. Okay, everybody's here. And before we begin, it's my understanding that Miss Cummings has filed a motion to substitute herself for Miss Janet Gustafson, who was previously appointed by the court to represent Miss Cindy Miller, the mother in this case. Anytime hired attorneys come on, the person that previously had a court-appointed attorney gets to pay the county back the fees that were previously paid to the court-appointed attorney. And Ms. Gustafson told me that $2,010 is the amount that she has billed Coryell County. Therefore, I'm ordering that Ms. Miller reimburse Coryell County at the rate of $200 per month, beginning on May 1st, 2024, payable to the Coryell County Clerk. Mr. Sturmer will put the address in an order until the $2,010 is paid in full. He's for 5. He is represented by Ms. Dory Mystic as attorney ad litem and guardian ad litem. The state is represented by Mr. Chuck Sturmer and his clients of the department, Ms. Taylor Velasquez, and her supervisors, Ms. Letitia Burrell. The mom is Miss Cindy Miller. She's here. She's represented by Miss Michelle Cummings. The father is Dr. Michael Wayne Chapman. He's here. He's represented by Mr. Kurt Glass. I think we have Miss Debbie that's on the screen. She's placement of Michael Jr. and Ford, and Miss Jourdain are supervisors. Miss Ford, let me get you to raise your hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Sturmer, let's take the therapist out of order. You can call whichever way you need to first, please.
Judge, I believe we need to hear some motions. I believe Ms. Cummings has filed a motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction, and I believe Mr. Glass also has a jury demand that he would like to address.
Ms. Cummings, you can go first.
Yes, Your Honor. I had filed a motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction in this cause. After reviewing the final hearing that was started on January 18th, and case law reflect, about what constitutes commencement of a final hearing, it's my opinion that was lacking because none of the parties had announced ready. Mr. Glass does have a jury demand on file and the fee paid, and that was done in a timely manner. And that was not taken up at the beginning of the final in January. And I apologize if I had already said this, but no pretrial motions were considered. And I think the biggest thing is going to be the jury trial. None of the parties had announced ready. And I apologize. I'm trying to look through to make sure I had everything. Oh, no announcements were made in that case or at the beginning either. And we are now, I believe 59 days past the dismissal date in this matter.
Mr. Glass, you want to respond to that motion? Then we'll get to yours in just a second.
My response is to Ms. Cummings' motion.
Yes.
I believe we're past the dismissal date, Your Honor. I think that we can all read the case law, so I'm not going to try and explain that to the court other than to say that I do not believe that steps were taken to actually make it a final hearing in January.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Mr. Sturmer.
Judge, in Ms. Cummings' motion, she cites a case, In Re JLJ, and in that case, the court sets out a number of factors to be considered as to whether a trial has been commenced. And the facts of that case, which Ms. Cummings' motion doesn't really lay out, are that the court denied or ultimately decided that a trial had not commenced, but the facts were simply that the parties had made announcements such as Chuck Sturmer, attorney for the department. And then the court said, that was a great trial. We're in recess. This case is different from that case because, in my opinion, announcements were made. The department's caseworker was sworn in. She then testified, and she gave the department's ultimate recommendation for this case. Another thing for the court to consider, which is different from Ms. Cummings' case that she cites, is that the recess of this trial, in my opinion, was an agreed recess by the parties. It was not a unilateral action by the court. The case law that distinguishes the case Ms. Cummings cites, that provides examples for when a trial has commenced. One of those cases, In Re XJR, and in that case, the parties simply made announcements and gave opening statements, and the court found that a trial had commenced. Another were a case styled In the Interest of KTSN, where a motion for continuance was denied and the department offered its exhibits. The court found that trial had commenced in that case. And so the factors that Ms. Cummings' motion lists are not, I guess there's 6 factors there. And the courts have not said that you have to follow every single one of those factors to be able to say that a trial's commenced. It's just you've got to do some of these things, and it's a case-by-case basis. So here we believe that a trial has commenced.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sturm. Ms. Mystic? Any response?
Judge, I would join in what Mr. Sturmer said, that it was commenced. If they did not want to, then I would have thought there would have been an objection. I guess we can get to that when we talk about the jury demand.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody have anything else on that issue? I'm reading my docket sheet, and I'm going to note that on 11/16/22, it was a permanency hearing. No parents attended. Their attorneys attended. I ordered mediation with Mr. Andrew Thompson in person by 1/18/23, which was the date of our final trial. Then for the record, I'm going to note that on approximately 1/9/23, Mr. Kurt Glass, the attorney for Dr. Chapman, the father, filed a motion for continuance of the January 18th, 23 final trial setting, stating that he was in a murder trial beginning on January 17th, 23. I think that the murder trial did not end up going, and so we were all here on 1/18/23. I wrote final trial Zoom. The parents were excused and did not appear. Ms. Velasquez was called to testify, was agreed recess till 3/29/23, and both the mom and the father's attorneys were present on that day. Also on that day, I was told that y'all were not able to mediate by the 1/18 deadline. Therefore, everybody agreed to go to mediation on 2/28/23. So obviously the case was still going on past the dismissal date, which I have as 2/4/23, as y'all mediated on 2/28/23. The date on the January 18th, 23 setting, the 3/29 date was discussed in court, as I previously said, because I looked at the calendar to see how full today was and if we were going to be able to hear this trial today, and we decided it would be available and we would proceed on today. Also on 1/18/23, the court signed and filed an order recessing the trial till today also. The motion for continuance filed by Mr. Glass was not ruled upon. It was no longer applicable because he was not in the jury trial. Therefore, based upon these entries that I have in my docket sheet and documents that were filed with the court, and the fact that Ms. Velasquez was called to testify and did testify a bit for Mr. Sturmer, I'm going to deny Ms. Cummings' motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction. So my next question is, I don't have on my file written when the jury demand was filed. When was it filed?
Oh, let me look that up real quick, Your Honor.
Mr. You have that in the file?
August 19th, 2021.
August 19th. Is that, Mr. Shermer, can you look at the district clerk's file and see if that's a record? Do y'all have, does anybody have it? I don't have it.
I do. It's in the original answer that was filed by Mr. Glass.
I don't have that either. I guess I don't think I was on the email. I don't have an first file notification I have is 10/21/22, 10/12. Yes.
What I'm showing is, whoops, hang on. Nope, different issue. Got another issue coming up, but sorry. Okay. Let me get that date for you. And that what I've asked the office to do, they're watching. They're not signed in, but I've asked them to send that file marked copy of the jury demand to you. So that should be showing up with you here.
Miss,
just a minute.
Mr. Shermer, does anybody else have it?
Yeah, it's not in the original answer that I have, but I believe I did see it, but hold on. I'll pull up the court's file.
Usually if I receive a copy of the answer, Ms. Trinidad always writes, she reads them and she always writes jury demand on the front of my file. And we discuss that way into the case. And this is the first I've heard of this after the trial, the bench trial's already started.
We weren't on the record last time, and my recollection is we discussed it, but Judge, what I'm looking at.
We were recorded last time. We're always recorded. We were on Zoom and YouTube.
So, yeah, I'm showing August 19th, 2021. Requests a jury trial and pays the fee of $40. That's in the respondent's original answer. Paragraph 4 in the prayer.
Oh, okay, I see it.
That's my jury, Your Honor. Also in that same, let me back up just a minute here. There's also a respondent's certificate of written discovery directed to petitioner.
No discovery.
Pardon?
I have a discovery control plan. No discovery unless it's approved by the court. No prior discovery been approved by the court.
I filed that on February 22nd, 2022. So I've received no discovery on this case.
Because you didn't ask for a hearing on it. Nobody's required to do it if you didn't ask for a hearing on your motion.
So those are
discovery control plan. The rules of civil procedure say that the discovery control plan can trump the discovery requirements, and that's what it is. No discovery.
So those are my two issues. I've got what I believe is a valid jury demand on file. Has been.
Anybody get it to me to look at?
It's in their original answer, and it's in the prayer. It just says respondent requests a jury trial and pays the fee.
The fee, okay. Okay, let me look something up. I'll be right back. I got to go off of this to do some research real quick.
Judge, I also do have argument on the jury issue whenever you're ready to hear from everybody.
Okay, well, I'm happy to hear from y'all first before I go look this stuff up. Go on. Mr. Glass, anything else you'd like to add in that regard?
No, Your Honor.
Apologies. Were you wanting our arguments now regarding the jury trial?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm aligned with Mr. Glass that he had a request on file. He tendered the required fee. And I understand at the January 18th hearing, which I did review the video, I think the state's going to argue that he didn't stand up and yell and scream that he had that on file. And I don't know that he actually had an opportunity, to make that objection that you guys were proceeding into a final without addressing that. I don't know what happened outside of the Zoom hearing or in any private meeting rooms, but just from the hearing alone, that argument was not made. And Your Honor, the standing discovery control plan order, just to touch on that's filed in this case, does list out that upon written request to the attorney of record, that DFPS shall produce a copy of the de-identified case record. And I know that Ms. Miller's previous attorney did also request in writing to the de-identified case record, and nothing has been provided.
Okay, I don't know about that, because that's just, and like you said, that's just in the standing order. That doesn't have anything to do with the actual discovery, request for production, all that kind of stuff, admissions, all that. Mr. Sturmer, did you receive a request for a de-identified file?
I believe it was in their answer. I don't really have an explanation as to why that was not provided, but it is also my opinion that if a party is requesting discovery and discovery is not provided, that the proper course of action is to file a motion to compel. We here started a trial over a month ago, and bringing this up now, I think, is a little bit too late.
Judge, may I respond to that?
Yes.
As far as and I know this because, I found out the hard way here in Bell County. With regard to discovery, I believe Mr. Sturmer does have a pretty good argument there as far as the motion to compel. With regards to the 194s, however, I don't believe that there is any such requirement that a motion to compel be filed. Furthermore, because of the changes to the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure at the last legislative session, those are now supposed to be filed automatically, unless there's some exception for CPS cases that I don't know about. But I don't believe that there is a requirement for a motion to compel on 194s.
I'm sorry, Mr. Glass, can you mute when you're done? It makes Judge echo or something. Start over, Judge, please.
Under 194.2D, child protection proceedings under subtitle E, Title 5, the Texas Family Code, are exempt from initial disclosures. And my discovery control plan says further, all parties and items shall be exempt from the mandatory nature of disclosure set forth in TRCP 194 at SEC. SEQ, I can't pronounce that word, SEC. So when I changed my discovery control plan order, I revised it to say no disclosures are required, because that's not what the rules say. But I changed my discovery control plan to say nobody is under any mandatory duty to provide any type of disclosure. Once again, if disclosures are required, just like the rest of the discovery control plan order says, except with leave of the court, so there's that one. And I don't know anything about the de-identified file. I did look through the record, the docket entries, and usually when people want a de-identified file, I'm not involved in y'all's communications because I don't know about that, but usually somebody wants a de-identified file, y'all talk to me in court, and I order it by a specific deadline. And that was not discussed in court at any time. And there have been no deadlines that have been set forth in any of the docket entries. So I'm not concerned about the issues dealing with discovery. So anything else, Mr. Glass?
Not concerning discovery.
Okay. Anything else regarding anything other? We're already on your jury demand issue. Anything else you need to discuss?
Could we approach?
You want to go to the breakout room?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Trinidad, if you can send the lawyers and me into a breakout room, please. We had to look up some stuff on the e-filing system, y'all. I'm sorry. It's the links go away after 30 days, so then you have to go. It's just very complicated. Okay, Ms. Cummings, you said what you needed to say about the jury demand, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Glass, you've already talked about your jury demand. Mr. Sturmer.
Judge, the department's position is that the jury demand has been waived. We've got a case pulled up here titled EE versus Texas Department of Family and Protective Services out of the Austin Court of Appeals, and that's at 598 Southwest 3rd, 389. And in that case, it's quoting another case, and I'll get to that in a minute, but it says that when a party has perfected its right to a jury trial in accordance with Rule 216, but the trial court proceeds to trial without a jury, the party must, to preserve error, either object on the record to the trial court's action or indicate affirmatively in the record that it tends to stand on its perfected right to a jury trial. And this is because the right to a jury trial in a civil case is not self-executing. To invoke and perfect the right to a jury trial in a civil case, the party must first comply with the requirements of Rule 216. Once perfected, the right to a jury trial still may be waived expressly or by a party's failure to act. And so here, we're not denying that Mr. Glass timely filed a jury demand. However, he didn't object to the bench trial commencing. And as the court just ruled a little while ago, the trial has commenced. So you can't preserve error now by bringing up the jury demand after the commencement of the trial. And if the jury trial issue was brought up at the first trial setting, the party bringing the jury demand would be required to request a ruling on the jury demand in order to preserve error. So we do believe that the jury demand was waived by failing to bring that up at the trial commencement.
Okay, yeah, hold on. Let me ask a question real quick about that case, Mr. Glass. Mr. Shermer, that case you're talking about, is it the opinion talks about civil cases. It didn't talk about termination of parental rights, which in my opinion is a different kind of animal than a civil case. Is that a CPS case or is it a, you said EE versus CPS? That's
correct, Judge.
So it is it a termination case?
I didn't get all the way through to see if it was a termination case, but it was a Department of Family Protective Services case.
Okay. Can you look in just a little, I don't know what you call it, little opening paragraph thing at the beginning of the keynotes?
Yes, it was a termination trial, Judge.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Sturmer?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Glass.
So, Judge, as Mr. Sturmer pointed out, this is a continuation of the final hearing.
Right.
I believe it is still timely for me to object because you didn't ask for, there was no announcements asked for. We weren't asked if we were ready or not. And so going forward, I haven't had a chance to respond really to anything, even to make an announcement of whether I'm ready or not. So I would announce not ready to proceed to this for a final trial because I have a jury demand timely filed.
Okay. One question that I'd like to know, when y'all went to mediation on, let me think what the date was. Was it February 28th? Was the jury demand discussed at the mediation?
Yes. Yes, we did discuss that.
I don't think we can talk about what we discussed at mediation.
Yeah. I was shaking my head because in my room it wasn't, but obviously I wasn't in theirs.
Okay. Anybody have anything else they'd like to add?
I did say that I had a jury demand on file. We did discuss that.
Okay. I mean, I got a report from the mediator, but it doesn't say anything about that.
He wasn't involved in that.
Okay. Go. Okay.
I think also, and this is a case, it wasn't a termination case, Judge, but it's the same exact, almost identical facts to what Mr. Sturmer said. But one of the biggest issues, I think, as well, is there was no request or objection to the associate judge as well. And I believe that when we started that trial and the attorneys were there, and there should have been an objection because a witness was called. And we did know it was a final trial. A witness was called, and that would have been the appropriate time to say, Judge, I don't agree to having this. I have a jury demand, and there was no objection to the associate judge hearing the final. That's all I have.
I mean, I think there's a difference with the associate judge objection because the Chapter 201, I believe, of the Family Code specifically says y'all have 30 days after you're notified that the associate judge is hearing the case to object to the associate judge. And the fact that I'm hearing a case is heard at that's set forth in the scheduling order that we sign at the status hearing, and also in the scheduling order that we also enter into when we did an extension in this case. So it's written in there twice, in the documents filed with the district clerk. Okay, so we're going to be in recess until 2:25.
A few moments later.
Okay, so I read the cases that were cited to me, and I listened to the recording from the Zoom recording from January 18th of 23. I'm going to find that, and also the parents were excused that day from attending because Mr. Glass had filed the motion for continuance saying he was going to be in a murder trial. On January 11th of 23, previously I had Ms. Greenwald and I had booked that she would appear in court that day for this trial. But on January 11th of 23, I texted her and told her that the case would not be going to trial that day because Mr. Glass was in a murder trial and he had filed a motion for continuance. So therefore, the only recording or record of that day was made on the Zoom recording that I listened to that I'll tell you all about in a minute. The trial began on January 18th of 23. It began by calling Mr. Sturmer calling Ms. Velasquez as a witness. There was no objection made at that time to the witness being called or me proceeding with the bench trial on January 18th. At that time, after I listened to the recording a while ago, there was no relief in the form of a juryman was requested or sought that day. It was just basically calling a witness, asking a couple questions, and then recessing. We're already into the trial, and even though we're in the trial, and jury demand cannot be brought up once the case has commenced. Like I said, I listened to the recording, and on January 18th, I specifically asked if anyone needed anything. Nobody said they needed anything. I also said I'm preparing a recess order, not a reset order. Recess means the trial has began, and I'm just recessing, not continuing it or resetting it. And therefore, I'm going to overrule the objection to proceeding today with the bench trial, and I'm going to make a finding that the jury demand was waived. So we're going to proceed with as much testimony today as we can get in a bench trial. So, Mr. Sturmer, like I said, we have two witnesses here. We probably need to call them out of order, so you may begin, please.
I'd like to call Angela Jourdain.
Okay, Ms. Jourdain. Do y'all see her?
Is she in the waiting room?
No. We have Ms. Ford.
Huh. Ms. Jourdain was supposed to be here.
She was earlier. Okay.
Judge, while we're waiting for that, I'm going to object to Mr. Sturmer calling a witness. They were not disclosed according to the discovery control plan. We were not provided with a list of witnesses for final.
Judge, may I have a moment, please?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Response to Mr. Glass, I'm unaware of the court's discovery control plan requiring disclosure of witnesses absent a request from the respondents.
Has anybody exchanged any expert witness information from the state, defendants, respondents? Anybody exchanged that information in writing?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I don't have any expert witnesses coming, but the discovery control plan is clear that they have to be disclosed, and it doesn't say that someone has to request those from the other attorney for those.
I understand. Who has requested that Ms. Ford be here?
I'd requested that she be here as well, but I was really more concerned with Ms. Jourdain's testimony.
Okay. I'll overrule the objection. You can go on, Mr. Sturmer.
And what is your occupation?
I am an LPC and a LCDC.
And regarding this Chapman child protection case, you were contracted to provide marriage counseling for the parents. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall when you began seeing them?
I believe it was around about September of 2022.
And whenever you first started seeing them, did you receive any background information from CPS or review any documentation?
Yes, sir. I was provided the 2036 form, which had the worry statement, and was offered consultation from the caseworker, Ms. Velasquez.
Okay. And then whenever you started meeting with them, do you go over kind of history stuff, background information, or exactly does that work?
Yes, typically the first 1 to 2 sessions to cover their rights in counseling, as well as gathering their input about the accuracy of the 2036 and asking what they'd like to add as well as clarify.
Okay. So once you went through those first kind of initial steps, do you typically identify problem areas or areas that you would like to work on with the clients that you work with?
Yes, sir. As well as I review the department's concerns and identify their goals. And identify their goals with that and put it in one comprehensive plan.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sturmer, can you redo that? That was stepping on.
Restate the question. Is that what you're asking?
Yes. What do you like to work on with the client that you work with? Yes, sir. As well as I review the department's concerns. Okay. And then from there.
I don't believe I said anything after that.
Y'all talked on top of each other.
Okay, I'll move on. Once you started or did those first 2 steps, did you identify any areas with the Chapmans that you wanted to work on with them?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain what those are?
Yes, sir. With the ones that I identified with the couple, as well as the department, it was to clarify the family dynamic, whether it was healthy, whether it was safe, and also to clarify some of the perspective on the issues that were concerning to the department, and to see if we couldn't develop a more comprehensive plan that encompassed the family's strengths as well as the department's concerns, so that the child had continuity of care that resolved all the concerns with utilization of their strengths.
Okay. And did you identify any areas that you wanted to work on individually with either of the parents?
Yes. So we were working a lot on perception of the issues, education of the diagnosis of autism, and also effective communication.
And you said a second ago, perception of the issues. What do you mean by that?
So I think this family has just a very different dynamic than what we have traditionally seen. And because of that, we needed more clarification to know if there was an unhealthy family dynamic or if they just had a different type of culture. And they were very restrictive on sharing that information because they felt attacked versus having the opportunity to clarify it.
Okay. And in what issues in particular are we talking about?
So there was some concerns about whether he was restricting access to his wife because he was being abusive, like restricting her contact with the department. And there were some concerns about if he was superseding her choices for her diet because he was being controlling, or if it was medicinal in nature, like for conditions.
Okay. And once you started working with them, what were you able to identify?
I think it's a little bit of both. So I do think that the parents have a bit of a different culture and a different type of belief system. But I do think when their guards were up, once CPS became involved, Mr. Chapman did step up and try to be a bit more controlling with his wife and controlling of the situation. And I do believe he was restrictive and fairly elusive about his explanation at times. So I think it was half a dozen of one and 6 of the other. But I do see that he does have a tendency to have the lead and be in control in the household.
Okay. So how did you plan to address that issue?
So I created a comprehensive plan that would allow for extra supervision, extra support, that included for their son to go to Oak Creek Academy, which is a school that specializes in autism, and it has a small classroom size. The staff there would help educate them on their son's needs, as well as provide after-school care, year-round care. And additionally, I talked to them about contacting their insurance company for direct care in the home. So there would be someone to sort of assist in the home with daily living skills and provide that support.
And why did you feel that you needed to offer that, I guess, person in the home? What was the need for that?
So upon the documents that I received and the conferences with the Chapmans and Ms. Velasquez, there was concerns about the ability to tend to the child in the home with Miss Miller's health issues and with Mr. Chapman leaving the home to do baseball and work. So kind of meeting in the middle was having someone assist her in the home so that if medically she could not keep up with this child, she had that extra layer of protection and assistance.
And can you state again exactly what you called that person?
Direct care.
And whenever you discussed the child going to a special school, did you say that was specifically for kids with autism, or was that just kids with special needs?
It's for kids with special needs, but they do have a tendency to have a very large autism population. And they also have ABA therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy located directly in the school.
And we see kids that have autism in public school and regular schools all the time. Why did you feel the need to recommend the child go to this special school?
My biggest thought in referring them specifically to this school is that it's a year-round school. And I know Mr. Chapman was really struggling to grasp the needs of autism and understand autism. So the school not only provides that support, but the child would have a regular schedule year-round, and they would be a more intimate setting to assist this family. And I just feel like that year-round schedule and that year-round assistance with Miss Miller would be really beneficial.
Okay. And whenever you said that you were making that recommendation, were you making that recommendation just kind of broadly, or was that only if the court was to choose to return the child to these parents?
I made that recommendation specifically for the child returning to the home. That way it would resolve concerns of supervision and adequate care.
Okay. And so with this particular school, does the child stay there overnight, or is this a day school?
It's a day school, and they do have an after-school program that I believe ends at 6 or 6:30.
Okay. And whenever you made that recommendation for the child to go to that school, if the child was to return to the parents, were you actually giving your recommendation for the child to be returned to the parents, or just if?
If the child was returned to the parents, I was working towards the goal of reunification.
And that was just as part of your contract as a therapist, correct?
Yes, sir.
Going back to the father and his understanding of autism, was your understanding that Mr. Chapman is a medical doctor at Darnell?
Yes, sir.
And so are you saying that he was failing to understand that his child had autism?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain a little bit more about what he was not understanding?
So he failed to identify the need for assessment, which it seemed sort of, it was very overt that there were signs like a lack of learning, a lack of communication. And it seems quickly identified by the caregiver in the school, to my understanding. He didn't see that that was concerning. And also a lack of skill, like potty training. And he is a bit advanced in age to be potty training. And so he expressed some denial. And so I discussed the differences of how children with ASD learn and advised him to go ahead and do some research. And when he went to Oak Creek Academy, asked some questions. But on our 2 subsequent follow-up sessions, he stated that he did not. And he verbally admitted like he really doesn't know much about autism at all.
So you're saying that he failed to follow up with your recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As for the mother, did you identify, and I'm talking about at the beginning of therapy, did you identify any problematic areas or areas of concern that you wanted to work on with her?
Initially, no, I did not. Okay.
And then, so once you began therapy, how did you plan to kind of address the issues of Mr. Chapman, and then working with the mother on just their marriage?
Well, so the understanding I had with the department is individually there wasn't a very conclusive recommendation. So they wanted me to work with them as a couple and assess their ability as a couple and build up those skills so that we had a better understanding if they could do this and have the information to do this. So I feel like I gave them a lot of information. I helped to negotiate the department's concerns. So that was the skill set that we worked on, is creating a plan, creating understanding, creating communication, and essentially just improving the family dynamic to have a plan of who will do what and what the expectations are.
Okay. And then sometime, I believe in late 2022, there started to be some problems with the parents and their attendance at therapy. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Can you kind of go into a little more about that?
To the best of my recollection, we had an appointment scheduled and they did not show. And so I contacted them through my portal, and then we rescheduled and he did not show. And then there was no subsequent communication because when I tried to reach out to the number on file, the number had changed. And sometime mid-January, he reached out, and I needed approval to continue after 2 missed. Once I spoke with the caseworker, I was able to do that. I did not hear from him again. It was just a lot of misunderstanding, I think.
And a lot of the things that have happened in this case, the concerns that I know from CPS that still linger are kind of just that. Can you speak a little bit more about your concerns for misunderstandings?
Yeah, I feel like some of the misunderstandings that are being expressed are strategic to potentially avoid accountability. I mean, this is presumptive, but once I questioned the mental status of Miss Miller, it seemed like that is when I got the resistance. But even if that was not the motivation, I was told to call back, but didn't have the number. I was told they couldn't get in the portal, but they had spoke to me in the portal. And it was just a lot of confronting discrepancies back and forth, and then no progress and no follow through. It became very frustrating and non-productive.
Okay. And so you're saying that they had earlier communicated with you through the portal, but then said that they didn't know that they were supposed to communicate with you through the portal, or didn't understand how to communicate through the portal? Is that what you're saying?
All of that, and that they could not get into the portal, which was...
They had previously done so, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And going back to something you said a second ago about the mother, about her mental status, what is your opinion of the mother's mental status?
I just wanted to clarify precisely what her abilities were, if they were limited by mental or physical disabilities. I had observed some symptomology consistent with dementia, and to conclude, like the loss of coordination. And I just wanted to make sure before I did a recommendation for reunification that she was in a good, healthy standing. But I received resistance on that and could not obtain clarification if she has been assessed for dementia or not.
Okay. And so what if she does have dementia or signs of dementia, or just the behaviors that you've observed, what concerns do you have for her ability to parent a child?
That really would be left up to the physician to advise me the status and the level of care required. But that is where the idea for direct care, I think, is beneficial, because if she does have limited capabilities, having a secondary adult there would sort of resolve those concerns.
Well, I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't know a whole lot about dementia, but my understanding of dementia causes people to kind of forget a lot of things. And if somebody's forgetting a lot of things, is that problematic to them raising a child?
Hold on. I didn't hear. Miss Greenwald, did you hear all that question?
Yes, ma'am.
You did. Mr. Sturmer, can you say it again? You cut out on my end.
I said I'm not a doctor, and I have limited knowledge of dementia, but from my understanding of dementia is that it causes people to forget a lot of things. And so if she has dementia or behaviors similar to dementia, would that hinder her ability to raise a child?
Objection is deleting, Your Honor.
I'll move on.
Okay.
What was your ultimate discharge of the parents?
I believe I provided a general discharge versus unsuccessful, because I had made fair progress, and they did have a fair prognosis for a favorable outcome based on the plan that we created. If they were to commit to that, I would have gave them a successful discharge had we continued through to the end. But at this time, it just stands as a general discharge.
Okay, and so how much progress did they lack?
So the way I break that down is we have a stage of assessment and then learning and then application, and they were up to the point of learning and we completed that, but we did not follow through with application.
Okay. Is that pretty important to your counseling that you provide?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain a little bit why that's important?
So typically I follow through the application stage so that I may provide assessment and feedback to make sure that what we have learned is applied effectively, or if there's new information that we need to incorporate for a more effective plan.
And I'm not trying to attack you here, but you said that had they continued their therapy, that you would have given them a successful discharge, but you can't say for sure whether they would have been able to apply those things, right?
Objection,
Yes.
leading.
Sustain.
You're correct, sir. Yes.
Judge, I believe my objection was sustained. Could you instruct the witness?
I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay. I'll disregard her answer.
As we stand today, have you given the department any recommendation for the parents?
Not a concrete recommendation. I have given recommendations to consider for the conclusion. I listed my concerns. I listed my identified strengths for this couple, and I offered my input as far as a plan that could potentially make them successful, but it's a very challenging case, and I don't have conclusive information to make a solid recommendation.
Okay, you understand that the parents have some periods of unsupervised visitation right now?
Yes, sir.
Actually, Judge, I'll pass the witness.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Cummings.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Jourdain, are you aware of any formal diagnosis for the child in regards to autism?
Yes, ma'am.
He has a formal diagnosis for autism?
That's what I have been advised by the caseworker.
You had the plan that you had created with the direct care and the Oak Creek Academy. Would it be possible for the parents to implement that without the child being in their home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how are they going to get the child to and from school at Oak Creek Academy and see if that works if they don't have the child?
As stated, this was the plan for working towards reunification.
Correct, but how are they supposed to implement that if they don't have the child in their home?
I'm not sure that I completely understand.
So the plan that you made to kind of help these parents and see if this is a plan that would work for them to have the child in their home included direct care. So that way there was someone else there, correct?
Yes.
And then enrolling the child in this year-round Oak Creek Academy that had day school and then after-school care, correct?
Yes.
How are we supposed to know if any of this would work if the child is not in their home?
I'm just stuck on how to explain. The child can go to that school whether he's in their home or the home he's currently in, and direct care can be made available through the insurance company in either home.
Right, but how are we supposed to assess whether or not these things have alleviated concerns and made the home safe for the child if the child's not in the home?
Correct. That was the plan, is to that was the stage that was cut short, that we did not follow through on. The intention was to have that plan in place during a monitored return and observe for the assessment portion of it.
So that was a plan for a monitored return. And then based on how that worked out and if the child was safe, if that could continue on and the child remain in the home. Does that sound about right? All right, I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Glass?
No questions of this witness.
Okay, thank you. Miss Mystic, any questions? Ms. Jordan?
Yes, Judge, thank you. I believe you had talked about setting out goals, and if I don't use the right terminology, I apologize, but you had set out some goals for the parents to work on during their marriage counseling. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had said, had they applied those goals, maybe we'd have a different outcome. I'm not sure you said that, but is that a fair question?
Yes, ma'am.
In your opinion, did they apply those goals?
No, ma'am.
Would it have been helpful for them to continue in therapy, even with misunderstandings and maybe avoiding accountability? Have you seen folks that eventually come around, if you'll excuse that term?
Could you rephrase that?
You said that you felt like sometimes there was some avoidance of accountability or misunderstandings.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
But sometimes, and this has been a long case, and I know you became involved in 2022. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it July or I can't remember?
September, I believe.
September, I'm sorry. In September of 22. Would it have been helpful had they continued seeing you?
Yes, ma'am. It would be helpful to work through that.
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
Go ahead.
That means I should answer, right?
Yes. Sorry.
It would have been very beneficial to work through that application and assessment stage. Yes.
Is there a concern that and I'm just taking this specific case, if we're not, did you tell the court that he didn't go and look at this school? Dr. Chapman didn't go and check out the school?
I do believe he checked it out, but he was identifying several barriers.
Okay. And then Mr. Sturmer asked you about his wife, that initially there were not concerns, and that the goals set out were the communication, attendance, things like that. And did you come to have concerns later on with Miss Miller and possibly being a caregiver to a child?
I did, yes, ma'am.
And did you make a recommendation that you thought it would be a good idea for her to get seen about dementia? I know you're not diagnosing it, but to have her follow up with a physician.
Yes, ma'am. I like to work proactively and identify any potential concerns so that rather than reactively having something ordered in court, we can often get ahead of it. And the memory issues were a concern. So that was my recommendation, to get ahead of it and see if we needed to address it now, or if we could just eliminate that.
I appreciate it. No further questions.
Anybody else have any questions, Ms. Jordan?
I have a couple, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Glass.
Thank you. Ma'am, you submitted a report to the department recently, is that right? Or to the court? You prepared that report, right?
Yes, sir.
You're familiar with the contents of that report?
Can we clarify which report? Because now I'm hesitating.
The one I believe that you sent this morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What does that report say about changes being made?
I think I need a bit more direct.
Did you say in your report that you submitted that identified changes had been made?
There were some changes that were made, yes.
And in your report, did you also say that clients expressed approval of the plan?
Yes.
That the family verbally expressed accountability?
Initially, yes.
Initially, they expressed accountability, or they expressed accountability in this most recent report?
Initially, they expressed accountability for the conditions of the home and for the care of the child. Did I do it with me?
Did they go back on that accountability?
They did not regress on accountability in regards to that topic, no.
Also, your report doesn't say initially, it says that family verbally expressed accountability. Are you changing the contents of your report now?
Sir, I don't have the report in front of me. If I could...
Would you like a moment to review your report?
I could go get it. Would that be beneficial? I mean, if you could read me the statement, that may expedite the timely manner.
Well, if I read it to you, it may say something significantly different than what you wrote, although it does seem like, or do you feel like you're changing your story a little bit anyway?
No, sir. I'm not changing my story.
Judge, could we have 5 minutes for the witness to retrieve her report?
I have the report. If you can make reference to which section.
Well, ma'am, you're the one that wrote it. I'm going to rely upon you to find where it is that you identify the changes having been made. But if it helps, I believe you've said something to the effect of, in short, the overall concern appears to be a disconnect between the perception between the department and the parents in regards to an application of effective care for this child. Does that help at all? The last thing in the recommendations section?
Yes. Okay. I do see in the recommendations section. Okay. It's like 3 pages. Okay. Short overall concerns. I'm not read where you said the accountability. I don't see.
You don't see anything about initially?
I don't see the reference that you're making, sir.
Okay, let's move on a little bit.
Okay.
In your recommendation, do you state the parents are not an intentional or direct threat to the child's well-being?
Yes, I did say that.
But you don't see anything about the family expressed accountability?
I will just read the statement. It says, when considering placement and permanency plans, the therapist recommends consideration of family connection and capabilities of the parents long-term. In short, the overall concern remains...
Judge, if I could object just briefly, that's not quite what I asked. The accountability is the bottom of the first page. Does that help, Ms. Jourdain?
No, sir. I don't... Oh, the first page. Okay, because the recommendation is the second page. On the first page, yes, I do see the word accountability. Yes. And what is your question in regards to that?
Did the parents, were they accountable?
They verbally expressed accountability as stated. That statement is following a statement that's
okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Quality in the home environment.
Hold on, Ms. Jourdain. Go on, Mr. Glass.
Judge, I'm sorry. I'm lost on Ms. Jourdain. Let me look at my questions here real quick. So in summary, Ms. Jourdain, the family verbally expressed accountability, right?
Yes.
Doesn't say initially, does it?
No, but the sentence prior to explains it.
I truly did not ask you about the sentence prior to that, but I appreciate your adding that in.
Well, taking a statement out of context changes the meaning of the statement.
How do you think this was taken out of context?
As I stated a moment ago, the prior sentence to that sentence is referencing the identification of problematic.
But that's not what I asked, Ms. Jourdain. You do read and write the English language, correct?
As I hope you do too, sir. Yes, I do. And it's in a paragraph. So
I appreciate that, but this is just an ask and answer question session.
I apologize for not giving you the answer that you want. However, it's in a paragraph.
Did you have these communication difficulties with the Chapmans?
No, sir.
So let me go back to, you also stated the parents are not an intentional or direct threat to the child's well-being. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Jourdain. Pass the witness.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. Anybody else? Any questions, Ms. Jourdain?
Your Honor, just one follow-up.
Okay, Ms. Cummings.
Ms. Jourdain, it's part of your recommendation that you made, and I know that you couldn't do anything conclusive, but it was essentially saying that family connection, support services, and assistance with long-term care, part of the plan that you originally made, would that have encompassed all that?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that something that could have been done and monitored during a monitored return?
Yes, ma'am.
And to your knowledge or actually, let me go back a little bit. Did the caseworker ever speak to you about a monitored return or implementing these changes within a monitored return?
No, ma'am.
All right, I'll pass the witness.
Anybody else have any questions, Ms. Jourdain? Ms. Jourdain, I have just a couple. When Mr. Glass was talking to you about the accountability, and you said there was a sentence before the sentence that he was referring to, can you read me the sentence before, please?
Yes, ma'am. There has been an identification of problematic quality in the home environment when Cindy becomes ill.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Jourdain, how does dementia affect parenting?
It's challenging because dementia is client specific, but there can be, to my understanding and familiarity, there can be periods of quality, clear, coherent time, and also periods of forgetfulness and confusion. But an additional concern is there can be loss of coordination in which somebody could fall or have an inability to walk.
Okay. Ma'am, did you ever meet the child, Michael Jr., the child in this case?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So what you know about him, you've heard through ed items or caseworker, or reading reports, talking to the parents, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Jourdain, earlier in your testimony, you talked about that you made a referral to the school that Mr. Glass asked you or one of the lawyers asked you quite a bit about. And you also made a referral. You also recommended the parents look into direct care. Yes. Do you know if that was ever done?
I do not know if it was done. It was expressed to me that there were concerns with trust about permitting somebody in the home, because that is how the case had been started. So there was some hesitation, and we worked through hesitation and building trust. And I advised them that there are conditions in which they could choose the person that came into their home versus having somebody assigned through a professional agency.
And if you're going through your insurance, that would be more, you'd have more of a selection than just picking somebody through CPS, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And at the very beginning of your my questions are kind of out of order, but at the beginning of your testimony, you talked about Dr. Chapman leaving to go to work and to baseball. What did you mean about baseball? And obviously I know about work, but what about baseball?
There's been some references regarding concerns about him participating in extracurricular activities like baseball. He's really into baseball. He loves baseball, but there were concerns that he prioritized that over the care for his child despite the conditions of the home. And so we kind of discussed, limiting time frames on that and the extra care to resolve that.
Okay. Based upon your counseling with the Chapmans, did you learn if anytime from September forward, they had anybody in their home to help with any type of care or the home or anything to maybe alleviate some of the reasons we became involved in this case?
I don't believe they did have anyone in the home to assist them.
Okay. Do you know if Ms. Miller has any extracurricular activities like the father does?
No, ma'am. She was coping with some medical conditions that limited the ability to participate in something extracurricular.
When you said you never met Michael, so when they had him on some visits, he was never brought over to your office for their therapy sessions. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
So you did see Michael with the parents? You did, correct?
I did not. Typically, if we'd made it through that next stage, I would do a home visit or a visitation visit just to see if there was anything else that we needed to address. We just did not make it to that stage.
Okay. Do you feel that the parents, let me think, I think the word you used was you got general discharge. Based upon the therapy that you've provided, do you feel that they are still in the need for some more type of therapy to be able to take care of a child?
I do think they need therapy. I do.
Okay. And Ms. Jourdain, were you able, and I don't know if they, you're the first witness, so you're all I have so far. Do you know if they told you, or do you know that visiting with the caseworker, did they take a parenting class or protective parenting, or do you know about that?
I'm sure I asked, but I do not recall the answer.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anybody else need more? I can't talk. Need Ms. Jourdain?
Just a couple of questions, Judge.
Okay, Ms. Glass.
Ms. Jourdain, did you speak with doctor about Ms. Miller's medical condition?
No, sir.
You're a licensed professional counselor, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you trained in diagnosing dementia?
We can screen for dementia and we can make referral, but we cannot make formal diagnoses.
Did anyone from the department talk to you about Ms. Miller possibly having dementia?
Yes, sir.
And who was it that spoke to you about her having dementia?
Ms. Velasquez, the caseworker, and I discussed it in regards to concerns about memory issues at my prompting.
Did Ms. Velasquez seem to be concerned about Ms. Miller possibly having dementia?
Yes, sir.
Did Ms. Velasquez offer you any scientific evidence of that?
No, sir.
So it was simply anecdotal?
It was a proactive attempt to eliminate concerns.
What's the difference between that and anecdotal?
I don't know, sir. I just want to be clear for communication issues.
That's probably important in your business.
Yes, sir.
So to be clear, Ms. Velasquez communicated somehow with you that she had some concerns about Ms. Miller, let's just say her mental health.
Yes, sir.
And you said you can screen for dementia and recommend. I'm sorry, I missed that part.
Screen and refer.
Who did you refer her to?
I didn't know if she had been evaluated yet.
Not quite the question I asked, Ms. Jourdain. I do apologize. Maybe I can change my words around a little bit so it's easier for you to understand. Did you send her to anyone to talk with Ms. Miller about dementia?
No, sir.
Did you ask her to go on a follow-up with her provider regarding mental health or dementia?
No, sir.
Ask the witness.
Anybody else have any questions, Ms. Jourdain? No. Ms. Jourdain, you said you didn't speak to Dr. Chapman about Ms. Miller's medical issues. Did you visit with Mrs. Miller about her medical issues or her mental health?
No, ma'am. Once I brought the topic up, that was when they stopped attending counseling.
Would those, if had they provided you with information like I have issues or I don't have issues, would that have helped you further in your counseling?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I'm obviously not a therapist, and neither none in the rest of these lawyers. Beginning with the therapy in September, do you? I don't know. It just seems kind of different to me. Do you begin to establish rapport and communication and trust before then you say, "What's the matter with you?" or "Is anything the matter with you?" For being very blunt, you know what I mean, though.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I work very hard to build rapport and open communication with the clients. And I was not making an assumption in this moment. I was trying to eliminate concerns because mention of her capabilities of memory were arising consistently. And so my suggestion was if she had medical records to clear her, that would be beneficial so that I could check that box and provide that communication and reassurance in regards to her capabilities. If there was an issue, then we could create a comprehensive plan to address it so that we could eliminate that proactively prior to coming to court.
And Mr. Dane, tell me again, I don't know if I really got the exact issue or exact answer. When's the last time you saw the Chapmans, if you can recall?
In December, mid-December.
So about 3.5, 4 months is the amount of time that you were able to spend with them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, one more question, Mr. Ray. Do you know if they'd been to another therapist before they were involved with you?
Yes, ma'am. To my understanding, they each completed individual counseling.
Okay. And that's the process. Do that first and then come for family therapy, generally, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Cummings, was that a finger? Okay.
I apologize. Just one follow-up question for Ms. Jourdain. Ms. Jourdain, are you aware of any other medical conditions or diagnosis aside from dementia that can cause memory loss or, I guess, falling, equilibrium problems, things like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there more than one diagnosis or condition?
Yes, ma'am. There are several on a very broad spectrum.
And by several, is there hundreds, thousands?
I know of hundreds, perhaps thousands.
I'll pass the witness.
Okay, may Mr. Dane be excused? No objection. Mr. Dane, thank you. You may be excused.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, in the interest of time, I don't feel like I need to call Ms. Ford today, but if you wanted to take her out of order, if somebody else wanted to call her as a witness, by all means, but if not, I'll call my next witness.
Okay. Anybody need Ms. Ford or may she be excused?
Well, Judge, at the risk of reinventing the wheel, since we didn't get a witness list or know what they're going to testify about, it's kind of difficult for me to answer that question.
Okay. Has Ms. Ford been subpoenaed?
She is not.
Okay, she's just appearing here today.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, if y'all need Ms. Ford to come back another day, obviously we're not going to finish this hearing today. If y'all need Ms. Ford on another day, just get with her and I'm sure she will be accommodating. Okay. She's smiling. That's a good sign. Okay. Okay. Ms. Ford, you're excused for today. Thank you very much. Sorry you had to stay here.
I'd like to call Debbie Ragg, and you're the placement for the child. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How long has the child been in your home?
A little over a year, about probably 15 months.
Okay. How's he doing in the home?
He's doing fine. He's doing great.
As we stand today, are you willing to be a long-term caregiver for him if needed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Whenever he first came to live with you, did you have any concerns for his well-being?
Well, he used to just run around in circles and just scream. He didn't eat a lot of stuff, but we worked on a lot of that. And we worked on potty training.
You said he didn't like a lot of stuff. What do you mean by that?
When he came, I was told he only eat chicken nuggets. So chicken nuggets and yogurt. And so we worked on sampling other foods and stuff. So we don't work on quite a bit. And he got a pretty healthy diet now.
So what kind of foods is he eating today?
Oh, he'll eat waffles, he'll eat pancakes, he eat Pop-Tart bites, he'll eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, he will eat pizza rolls, he likes quesadillas, he likes corn dogs, he'll eat a pork chop. You gotta trick him. Once you fry it, you gotta cut it up and you won't know what it is. But he likes bacon, he likes sausages. Oh wow, he eats, oh wow, there's so much stuff we got him to eat now. Different kind of chips. I buy veggie sticks and veggie puffs to get him the vegetables because he has a thing with texture. So he'll like eat a banana yogurt, but he won't eat the banana. So I buy veggie chips and veggie puffs to kind of trick him. And he likes those with the different flavors. He don't know that I put them in a plastic bag so he don't read that it say veggie on it because he's very smart. He can read. So so there's ways we trick him. He'll eat a hot dog. He'll eat a hamburger, but you got to give him the patty without the bread, nothing on it, just a plain patty, cut it up and set the bread to the side. He'll eat the patty and then eventually he'll eat the bread. He likes shrimp fries. He'll drink a milkshake. I still give him Pediasure every day. I send one to school with him every day to make sure he's getting the nutrition that he needs because of some of the things that he wants.
Sorry, to get the what?
I send him to school with a Pediasure every day, and then I'll give him Pediasure like in the daytime here when he comes home because to make sure he gets the nutrition that he needs because he don't eat a lot of stuff. So I try to make sure, and then of course he eats vitamins too. He gets vitamins every day. His dad brings the vitamins to drop them off.
And what was his reaction like whenever you first started introducing these foods to him?
He would just sit there and stare at it. He wouldn't eat it. And so he would just sit there and he wouldn't eat it. And then I would be like, oh, good, just try. And I'd have to wait. And then I would try to give him something else. And then when he come back, I still try to put it in front of him. And so eventually I'm like, he would try it. And then he would like, good, yeah.
Miss Rag, can you lower your so I can see your face more? Oh. And then also, can you slow down a little bit?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
But
what was his reaction like whenever you first started introducing these foods to him?
He wouldn't eat them at first. He would just look at the food. He would sit there, and then I would be like, okay, I'll give him a little Pediasure. I'll give him a cup of Pediasure. And then when it came time for our next eating session, because he wasn't in school, of course, when I first got him. So when it came to lunch, I would try to give it to him again, and he would look at it. And finally, I guess when he realized it wasn't going away, he would try. I'm like, just try it. And I would eat it in front of him. He would try it, and he would say, good.
Okay. What's his weight like compared to whenever he was first brought to your home?
He's healthy now. The doctor said he done gained. She said he's looking really well. She said he done gained good weight. Because I guess he was kind of small.
Objection, hearsay.
Ma'am, you can't say what somebody else said. Other than the family.
Well, he was smaller he was smaller when I got him. He done grew a couple. No, his clothes little, because we couldn't keep his pants up. I just had to use suspenders. Now his clothes stand up on them. So he's growing very well. Sorry.
And what was your understanding of his diet prior to coming to you?
That he just ate chicken nuggets and ate yogurts.
Okay. Did you ever talk to the parents about his diet?
Yeah, they say he ate chicken nuggets and yogurts. They say he liked nuggets. They say he liked chicken nuggets. So that's what they gave him.
Okay. You'd also mentioned issues with potty training. What was the issue there?
He wasn't potty trained. So when I tried to potty train him at first, we would go and I would take like every 30 minutes to take him to the bathroom. He wouldn't go to the bathroom. So he used to hold his bowels till late at night. And then when he went to bed, he would do his stuff at nighttime. So, and it took a while. So then I had talked to my sister because I have an autism cousin. And so she said after like a couple of days, I'm like, he had some boo-boo. And she was like, put a little Marilax in his juice. And he drank it. So we sat on the toilet a little while longer and then he would go. So eventually I got him to go. But he would hold it till nighttime. He wouldn't even try it. Yeah, he would just hold it and then he would go out late at night.
Okay. And so how's he doing now with that?
He's doing pretty good. We've been in underwear. We've been trying underwear since spring break. We've been going off and on. So I talked to the teacher. We tried underwear this week and we hanging in there. We putting pull-ups on at nighttime, but he's doing pretty good.
Okay. And now whenever he first came to your home, was he still in diapers?
Yeah, he was in pull-ups. Yes, sir.
And how old was he then?
He was 4, almost 5. I got him in December. So he was little, I guess, like a little bit past 4 because his birthday's in August.
Okay. Did you discuss the potty training issue with the parents whenever you first got him?
I told them we were working on potty training, and so when they would come, I would take him in the bathroom, and then they would try to say, "Can they go?" But I told them it was a distraction because he was trying to go, and they want to go, and I was like, sometimes people like their privacy, they can't go with people staring. But I was telling them that I'm trying to get him potty trained.
You also mentioned something about screaming and running around or something. Can you repeat what you said?
He would just run around in circles in the living room and scream, like make this noise and just run around in circles.
So what did you do to work on that? We
sat down. I would say, "Come on, talk to me." We sat, and I talk to him. We read, and I'd be like, so when he don't really do it no more. I'd be like, "No, come on, let's talk." So he reads his book now, or I put on a show that I think that attract his attention, and he likes that.
Okay. How is his focus?
He focuses better, but he's still not totally focused, of course, because of his special needs thing. So now if you give him a tablet or something, he stay focused. He loves gadgets. So if you give him a tablet, he will focus on that the whole time. But like we'll watch TV for a minute, and he'll get up and he'll take off running, then he'll come back, go do something else and come back. Yeah.
What does he do on the tablet?
He plays little games, mind games. He plays games like mind advancing games. He writes on his tablet. He goes in and reads stuff that pops up on his tablet. So he likes to play games and read the stuff on the tablet.
Okay. So overall, would you say that he's made a significant amount of progress since he's been in your home?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was there ever a point in time during this case that you were supervising visits between the child and his parents?
Yes, sir. When they first came.
And how long were you still supervising?
Well, the Wednesday visits are supervised, but the Saturday ones aren't.
Okay. So they're still being supervised by you on some of their visits, is that correct?
On Wednesday visits, they come on every Wednesday. And then on Saturday, they get the 4 hours to themselves.
Okay.
4 hour what? I'm sorry, they get a 4 hour.
I'm sorry, 4 hour visits to themselves.
Okay, so at the beginning of the case, whenever you were first supervising visits, how was Michael reacting during those?
It started out pretty well. Except for when the parents would come, he would try to do stuff that we pretty much worked on him not doing, like running and swinging open the refrigerator door, running through the kitchen by the stove. He would try to go get his tablet when it wasn't. And I tell him, no, it's not tablet time. It's visitation time. He would try to get them to go get the tablet for him. And I'd be like, no tablet. He needs to visit me. So we worked on that. So when they come, he would do stuff that we was working on him not doing.
Okay. Did the parents, I guess, trying to think of the right word, but did they absorb the information you were giving them or comply with the request?
Yeah, because one time I had to put him in timeout.
Sorry, wait a minute. I didn't get the end of that question.
Did they comply with your requests and the things that you were working on with Michael?
Yes, eventually they did, yes. Because one time I put him in timeout and she asked why did I put him in timeout, and I told him that's because he wasn't listening. And that was a way of letting him know he was not doing what he was supposed to be doing. So eventually they would tell him, no, you can't have it, because after they realized I kept saying no. So eventually they did tell him, Michael, you're going to get put in timeout, so you better stop.
Over the course of your supervision, has anything changed as far as their discipline?
No. I don't think they discipline him. He threw a temper tantrum, what was it, about a month or so ago. His phone, I guess, had froze. And so he got mad and slammed it on the ground. Then he snatched Cindy's phone out of her hand. So I went outside because I heard him screaming. And I'm like, no, you don't do that. Give her back. I took the phone from him, gave Cindy back her phone, picked up his phone and figured out what was going on.
And what were the reactions from the Chapmans?
They didn't have no reaction.
So how does that make you feel being the child's primary caregiver?
I think that probably because they don't get much time with him. I guess they try to make it, they don't want to be the disciplinary, but they just trying to enjoy the time they have.
Does that affect the progress that you make with Michael?
Sometimes it can, because when he comes back sometimes, like lately he's running around flicking on all the light switches and the fans. I don't know where that came from, but in the report that Dr. Chapman sent me and Mr. Taylor, he said that Michael ran around cutting on the light switches and fans, and then when he came home, So that's the problem we have. You want to run around just turn on all the light switches and all the ceiling fans. And I'll be like, no, no, no. Then he'll stop. But then, of course, when he goes for our visit, he comes back, he starts doing it again. So.
Okay. What's his, and I know you said that kind of his behavior, but does he have any attitude changes or anything like that?
He'll throw his temper tantrums, like I say, around them. But he doesn't do it when they're not, he doesn't do that. So like he'll get mad at them and throw a temper tantrum, but he doesn't do that. And I'll be like, come on, talk to me.
Wait a minute. He'll do what with a temper tantrum?
He'll just get mad when they don't, if we want something from them, he'll throw a temper tantrum. Or he'll get mad. But when I talk to him, like, come here, talk to me, calm down. What's going on? Use your words. And then so I'll calm him down and I'll be like, come on, no, you can't. Don't do that.
You may have already touched on this, but in the visits that you observed, how are the parents helping the child with his potty training?
Well, I don't know what they do at their house, but pretty much when he's here, I do it.
You do, is that what you said?
Yeah, when they're here, I do it. I don't know what they're doing at their house when he goes with them for the 4 hours, but when he's here, I do it.
Do you encourage them to get involved in that?
Well, they said they do it, but like I say, when we first started potty training them, when they would come on Wednesdays, I would take them to the bathroom, and then he would come out and he would play with them, and so then he'd probably go to the bathroom one time while they was here. Okay.
For a period of time, Michael was seeing Shirley Ritchie. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Were you bringing the child to her office, or where were y'all meeting at?
Miss Ritchie came to our home.
Okay. And for everyone's knowledge, Miss Ritchie was supposed to be here today, but she had a family emergency that she informed me about this morning. But do you recall how long Michael was seeing Miss Ritchie?
Seeing Miss Ritchie for about 3 months.
Okay. And did Michael make progress during his therapy with Miss Ritchie?
Yeah, she would help me to show how to control, calming down through his temper tantrums and stuff. And then she would, play with him and do motor skills and stuff with him.
Did Miss Ritchie ever observe any visits with the parents?
Yes.
Do you recall how many times that happened?
She came to, let me see, she was here one time before they came, but one time she went to the park. She showed up at the park when we were doing a visit at the park.
And how did that visit go?
They were sitting on the bench playing. Dr. Chapman and Michael were playing. Yeah, they were at the park. Cindy was sitting on the bench. Dr. Chapman had brought some balls to the park. They were throwing the balls. Michael threw the ball down the hill. Dr. Chapman went to chase it, and Michael took off running towards the street. And I jumped out the truck and caught him.
Sorry,
jump out?
What did you say? You did what after he threw the ball and you went after him and you did what?
Oh, I'm sorry. He threw the ball down the hill. Dr. Chapman chased the ball, and Michael took off running towards the street, which was the playground on the other side. I had to jump out the truck and stop him before he ran out into the parking lot.
And was there traffic that day?
Yeah. I mean, we were at Lions Park. So, there's the people there's like 3 lanes that you can drive through. So, yeah, there's a lot of people. So we were at the side of the field because they didn't want to go to the playground because there was too many kids over there and it was during COVID.
Dr. Chapman's reaction to that?
No, he was chasing the ball. He came back up the hill. I called Michael and took him back over to where they was.
Well, I mean, did he acknowledge like the danger there?
No.
Where was Miss Miller?
He was sitting on the bench.
What was her reaction?
She just sat on the bench.
Did she yell or anything or
do
anything to stop him?
No.
Did she know it happened?
I think she did because they were playing right in front of her.
Okay. Do you have any concerns when Michael's with his parents?
No, I think like I said, Michael's gonna need a lot of structure. We got to be on a schedule. There's certain things that he likes, like certain chairs he sat in when he's here. And if you're on his chair, he gets mad. So, which is normal for autistic kids. They're used to a pattern. So, I think other than they will probably have to do discipline, because he kind of like he'll walk up and take stuff out their pockets and stuff and take their stuff from them. That's pretty much it.
Well, what about safety?
What about what?
Safety.
Okay.
I I mean, I can't really say if it'll be safe or not.
Well, did you have concerns for Michael's safety at the park?
Yeah.
Okay.
I sat there, yeah. I mean, if he distracts Dr. Chapman, there's nothing Cindy can do.
What was that?
I'm sorry, if he distracts Dr. Chapman, there's nothing Cindy can do. If he takes off running, like if they playing and he takes off, if he distracts Dr. Chapman, there's nothing Cindy can do.
And that's because of her physical disabilities, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, because if you take her, yes, her mobility, yes.
Okay. Have you seen the department's recommendation in their final report for today?
Miss Dory sent it to me this morning.
What is your position on that recommendation?
We have no problem with it. I told her I think that the weekend visits would be good because it'll give Cindy more time with Michael.
And why do you say that?
Well, because on the visits when they hear Dr. Chapman and Michael walk a lot. So, and Cindy's sitting here, so they walk most of the visits. I mean, he comes back.
Where do they go?
They walk, well, when they were here, they walk down the street, around the corners, and at the park, they walk around the track of the, I guess, around the Lions Park.
And Miss Cindy doesn't go with them?
No, sir.
Have you talked to Dr. Chapman and Miss Cindy about incorporating her into those visits?
I talked to Mrs. Taylor. Miss Taylor asked me, and I told her, and she said she had discussed with Dr. Chapman about making the walk shorter so that Cindy can have more time with Michael. So
when Cindy is part of the visits, what do Cindy and Michael do together?
They sit there and she'll play with him, like, or they be eating, or she'll give him her phone.
Okay. What do Dr. Chapman and Michael do other than walk?
That's pretty much it. They walk.
Okay.
Well, last week when we went, they walked over to the fun to play, and then they came back when the visit was over.
Okay. Moral of the story: you're comfortable with the department's recommendation today?
Yes, sir.
And you'd be willing to work with the Chapmans long term and kind of share in the rights and duties for Michael?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Sounds like you and Michael have a pretty good time together.
Yes, sir.
Just give me some ideas here. How much has Michael, I know you said he's grown in the past year or so. How much has he grown? Have you had to change clothes sizes?
Yes. Well, Michael came to us. He had a suitcase and it was full of clothes that didn't go past a 4T. It was full of baby clothes. So, and he came with one pair of shoes and a coat. He can't wear none of that stuff could even be worn. So he started out at like a 4 or 5. Now he's between the 6 and the 7, 8, where that spurt where the clothes just.
Hold on just a second. The judge is gone. Nope, I'm sorry. Somebody dropped off. He's between he's between a 6 and a 7.
Yeah, he's in that spot where, you know, the clothes either you right in the middle from going to the next size, but the other size is fitting, but you know it's coming for the next size up. So he's between the 6, 7, but some of the 7, 8s, but then he ain't got the hips to hold the 7, 8s. He's getting the tallness. He just ain't got the hips to hold the 7, 8. And his feet, he went from a size, I think his shoes was a 9. Now he's like between the 10 and a half and 11.
So you'd say basically he's normal size, right, for a child his age?
Yeah, okay, he's going, yes, between 7 swing, but yes.
And right now, what's the visitation schedule for the Chapmans and Michael?
They get 2 hours on. They upped it after our last court hearing, so it's 2 hours on Wednesday and 4 hours on Saturdays. But when like if we out of town or if we make them up on the Sunday, like when we went on the cruise, we made up. So they got them for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Do you have any? I think Mr. Sturmer already kind of touched on this, but do you have any fears of Michael being injured while he's with the Chapmans?
No, I don't think I have fears. All I can say is like sometime when they say he's 8, he's still hungry. Like when he comes home and they tell me he might have ate at 5, but the first thing I say is eat. He take off running to the table and he eats like if I make him pizza rolls, he will eat like 15 pizza rolls, or he'll eat the whole quesadilla and drink the juice and whatever else. So other than that, on Christmas they said McDonald's wasn't open. so they didn't feed him.
Sorry, wait a minute. On Christmas, what?
They said McDonald's wasn't open, so they didn't feed him.
So a lot of pizza rolls, a lot of waffles, a lot of bacon.
He like quesadillas, he eat hot dogs, he eat corn dogs. He will eat, like I said, he will eat a fried pork chop, but you got to cut it up off the bone. So there's some little trickery stuff to get him to eat certain things, but he do have a texture issue. Like I said, he'll eat banana yogurt, but he won't touch the banana at all. I don't know what it is. So it's the texture thing. Because some of the stuff, if he bite it, he don't like the texture, he won't eat it.
Where do you see Michael being, say, 10 years from now?
I think he's going to be very advanced in advanced classes, because like I said, he's very intelligent. The only thing I think, like I say, the school tell me is like the comprehension of what we're working on, and I'm trying to work on that too. But I think I look at him being a very successful young man in life.
Do you still see him living with you?
I don't know. I can't answer that because I don't have that decision to make.
Would you still want him living with you?
I mean, if he's here, we welcome him with open arms. But if he's here, we wouldn't turn our back on him because he's been around us for such a long time.
Right. I'm not. Please don't. Please, I want to make sure you understand. You don't think I'm going down that road with you, do you?
Oh, okay. I'll just make sure because, like I said, he's welcome to be here as long as he needs to be here. Me and my husband discussed it, and I've talked to him about it because, like I said, on several occasions, I have asked Miss Taylor, should I pack him? And she told me she'll let me know. So,
I'm sorry. On several occasions, what?
I've asked Miss Taylor after the hearing, should I start packing this stuff up? And she told me she'll let me know when it's time to pack him up. So, but me and my husband we do discuss, how long, if he stays longer, we have no problem with it.
Do you think that Michael could stay overnight with the Chapmans sometime?
I believe he probably could. Like I say, I mean, if they both get together, I don't think, like I say, I don't see, at least trying it, I don't think it'd be a problem, I don't think, but that's not for me to decide.
Oh, I understand it's not for you to decide. I'm not asking you to decide that. I'm just kind of asking you, what you think. So you said you think he could stay overnight with the Chapmans. If he was to be placed back with the Chapmans, would you still be available to help watch Michael?
I mean, I told them, Miss Taylor, if like I said, if there was a problem, he's always welcome here. We ain't never had a problem. So he can come back. Yes. So,
okay. That's wonderful of you. So the idea right now is Michael's either going to live with you or with the Chapmans. Right?
Okay. I assume that, that's what the paper was saying, that he would stay between the two. It would be joint custody or something she wrote in the letter.
Yeah. What if he was to live with the Chapmans and see you on the weekend? Would you be okay with that?
We ain't got no problem. We still would do the same things we're doing with him now. It ain't no we can't take him.
Based off of your menu and what Michael eats, I think I'd kind of like to live with you, but you'd probably have to roll me out of the place.
Thank you.
Do you think?
Oh, excuse me, Michael's school bus is here. The school bus is here. I lost track of time.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was so busy talking. My husband running. I apologize. I didn't realize the time went fast. My husband's going to grab me.
That's sorry. Okay. Gave me kind of a start there.
Yeah. Hold up. Take off.
I have to collect my thoughts, remember where I was with my questions.
Now, this is just, let me, I got to go to my phone. I don't have a clue what's going on here. So hold on.
Say hi. Come here. Hey. Say hi. Hey. Hey. Say how everybody doing.
Hi, buddy.
All right. Let's go.
What about, you don't have any problems with him staying overnight with the Chapmans? You don't see any issue there, right?
No, I can't make that decision.
I'm sorry. Wait a minute.
I said no. I can't make that decision. So no.
Well, I'm not asking you to make a decision. I'm just asking you if you have any issue with it.
No.
Are you saying that that's not your decision because you're afraid of hurting the Chapman's feelings or something?
No, I just no. I don't. No, that's not it. No, I promise no.
Okay. Well, certainly don't worry about hurting the judge or Mr. Sturmer's feelings. Okay.
Okay, I ain't trying to hurt nobody.
Okay. So what about, let me just give you this idea. Would you still be available if Michael goes back to live with the Chapmans? Would you still be available to babysit, basically, or to be, I hesitate to use the term nanny because I always think that sounds like really, really rich folk, but right. Would you still be able to be there as a caregiver? And I'm sure.
I mean, yeah, he's welcome to our house anytime. He's welcome to come over anytime.
Do you think Michael would be okay going back with the Chapmans and having come to see you?
I can't answer that. I'm sorry. I can't answer that question. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Why can't you answer it?
Because I don't know how Michael, I mean, if you ask me how Michael would feel, I can't say how Michael would feel. I don't know.
No. Not how Michael would feel, but how would you have any concerns about that sort of arrangement?
No.
You wouldn't have any concerns about him going back to live with them if you were still in his life?
No.
You've gotten pretty attached to Michael, haven't you?
He's a sweet kid.
Yeah. I understand. I understand getting attached to little ones that aren't yours. Ultimately, do you want to continue having a relationship with Michael and the Chapmans?
Sure. He's welcome.
I'm sorry. Mr. Glass, when she starts talking, all of a sudden some kind of monster in the background from your Zoom happens. If you could mute yourself. Yeah, because I am totally missing what she's saying. So the question was, do you want to continue having a relationship with Michael and the Chapmans?
Ms. Greenwald, I'm sorry, Ms. Ragg, if you'll just give me a minute. Ms. Greenwald, do you see this monster, or is this monster something, is it behind me right now? Do you need to talk to Ms. Jourdain?
It's the roar of a monster.
Okay, so I'm going to ask this question, then I'll mute. All right. So, Ms. Ragg, do you have any concerns, for Michael going back at night and living at night, staying at night with the Chapmans?
I can't say I have concerns because, like I say, I'm not there, so I don't know what concerns it would be. I don't know what would happen. I can't answer. So, to the best of my knowledge, I mean, I can't answer that to say what would happen at the night, but I think he would be okay.
Is Michael available there?
Yes. Michael, back to his room. I think it's rough tweet and Dave came in. Michael.
Mr. Glass, what are you going to do? Just let him say hi? We're right in the middle of Miss Ragg right now.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge. I was going to have him wave to Dr. Chapman and Ms. Miller.
Say hi.
Hello, Miss Miller.
Hello, Miss Miller. He heard you. Say hi.
Hello, Miss Miller.
Okay, hello, Miss Miller.
Juice?
You want some juice? Okay, go get some juice.
All right. Hey, Ms. Ragg, thank you so much. I'll pass, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Miss Mystic?
Yeah, just a few questions. Okay. So Michael's birthday.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he came to you in December of 21. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And August of 21, are you aware that's when he was removed out of his parents' home?
No, I didn't know the exact date he got removed.
Okay. Okay. But you were not the initial placement of the child. He had been in another home before he came to yours.
Yeah, he came from his, I think it's Miss Donna.
Okay. Donna. So he came, right. He didn't come from his parents' house to your house.
Oh, ma'am.
Okay. And so in from August when he went to his first home until you got him in December, were you aware, and I don't want you to go into the report, but were you aware that he had some testing with a Dr. Dayheim in October of 21?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. And did you ever receive a copy of that document from the doctor?
I got a copy. I think someone sent me that copy. I did get a copy. I can't remember if group health sent it or the doctor, because it's either group health or the doctor, because I was trying to get him in the ABA program and they needed the statement. So I think the doctor or group health sent it.
That's all right. Okay. I'm assuming in August of 22, when he had his 5th birthday, you celebrated his birthday.
Yes, ma'am. We had a party.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty. And did the Chapmans come to his birthday? Were they invited to a birthday party?
Yeah, they knew about it, but they said they forgot.
Okay, all right. And that happens. Do you know if they may have forgotten the birthday party, but they did send something for his 5th birthday? Did they give him a? They did not. Okay. And we're in so we haven't had another. What about at Christmas? They had him over that couple days of Christmas. Is that right?
Christmas Day. Yes.
All right.
I'm sorry. Wait.
Yeah, y'all are talking over each other.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Ms. Ragg, wait till Ms. Missick finishes the question. Ms. Greenlaw, did you want to say something?
The question: did they had him over a couple days at Christmas, and then your answer?
Yes, ma'am. They had him for 4 hours on Christmas Eve and 4 hours on Christmas Day.
Since December of 21 until we sit here today, what is the most unsupervised visitation have they had with Michael?
The 4 hours that oh shoot, my thing, I think it's gonna cut out on this too. Sorry, I think I'm about to try to go to the phone.
Okay.
The 4 hour visits they get.
Okay. And then they have the Wednesday.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The 4 hour visits they get on Saturday.
Okay. And then of course the Wednesdays you supervise.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when Mr. Sturmer asked about the recommendation, there was a recommendation from the department that said continue the 4 hour visits. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yeah.
And 1 weekend per month. I believe they said the last weekend of the month, Friday at 6 to Sunday at 6.
Yes, ma'am.
And you indicated that you felt like that would be appropriate.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. From when he came to you in December of 21, Mr. Sturmer went through kind of a listing of things with you regarding Michael's diet. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What about his communication skills?
He repeats what he hears still. He doesn't talk a lot.
Okay. Hold on. When he came to you in December of 21, what was his communication skills? Was he verbal?
Nonverbal. He was
nonverbal. Okay. Have you ever talked with the Chapmans about the autism, the ADHD? Do you all talk about those things?
Me and Cindy talked one time, and she said she thanked me. She said because she was told that Michael would be nonverbal, and of course he talks with me.
I missed that. I'm so sorry. Could you say that again?
Oh, I'm sorry. Me and Miss Cindy conversated one time, and she told me that she was told that Michael would be nonverbal, and I told her all I do is talk to him. We sat down and we talked, and he starts repeating what I say. I write words on the walls in his room, his bathroom, and he repeats them.
Does he have ARDS?
Yes. We have an ARD meeting on Friday. Okay. There's an ARD meeting on Friday.
All right.
Sorry, what?
There's an arts meeting on Friday at 3.
Okay. And kind of following up with Mr. Glass, what he asked, if the court, and I know you're not making the decision, but if the court decided that Michael lives with you and visits his parents, you have no issues making sure the parents know when he has, say, a dental appointment.
Right. I have no problems.
Doctor.
No issues at
all the meetings at school, any of those type things?
No, I have no problem referring them the information.
Okay, that's the witness. I think your phone's going to die, so I'll let you go.
Miss Ragg, how many children have you raised?
Let me see. About 15.
So a whole lot.
A whole lot, yes.
And do you remember the very first child you raised?
Yeah, my own.
Was it difficult?
Well, actually, no, it wasn't. I'm sorry.
Did you have family support to help you?
Yes, I did.
How did you learn how to parent?
Well, we babysitted when we were kids. So when I had my own kid, it was just, but we babysitted all our little cousins and stuff when we were younger.
So it just kind of came naturally to
you.
It
just fell into place. Yes.
And how did you come to meet the Chapmans?
At Darnell.
And would you say that you have a good relationship with them?
Yes.
Do you feel like they have all the tools, or at least at the beginning of the case, had all the tools like most of us other new parents have?
I assume they did, because I didn't meet Cindy till later. So I can't say what they had, but I assume they did.
Do you know if they have any family support?
I don't know that.
Do you know if they have nieces, nephews?
Cindy said she had some relatives.
Okay, but you know if they've had any nieces and nephews or small children that they've helped raise?
I don't know that. I can't answer that. No.
Do you think that you can learn everything you need to know about parenting from a class?
Well, you can learn some things, but you might not learn them all.
And are you opposed to helping the Chapmans kind of gain some more parenting skills?
I mean, what do you mean by gaining parenting skills?
Just by working with them and talking with them more about Michael and his needs.
I talk to them all the time. I ain't never, like, when they ask me questions and stuff, when they hear, I don't not try to answer them.
Okay, so you communicate with them about Michael's needs and how to.
Yeah, I told you, they ask me questions. When they ask me questions, I do answer them.
Do you ever volunteer information or only answer the questions that are asked?
Well, they like I said, it's only for an hour at first when they came. So a lot of times they were trying to spend time with Michael, but when something happened and they asked me the question, I tell them why I did that.
Are there any restrictions to you communicating with the parents outside of their visitation?
No.
Do you ever call or text the parents outside of visitation about Michael?
I have let them video chat with Michael at first when he first came. We used to video chat, and they would see him on the video chat, but they don't text, so no. Other than like if the visit is coming and they go be late, and they're texting, no.
But do you text or call with information about Michael?
I don't.
Whenever you were discussing the incident that happened at the park, was that closer to the start of the case?
Excuse me. You cut out in the beginning. I apologize.
Sorry, the incident that happened at the park, was that closer to the start of the case?
Well, it happened. Let me see. It happened. I'm gonna say it happened in 2022. So close to the middle of the case.
And have any other incidents like that occurred since then?
No.
Did you hear the therapist testify regarding her plan for care for a minor return?
Yeah.
Which included the special year-round school and direct care inside the home?
Yes.
Do you think that would be beneficial to Michael?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Do you think it is beneficial for children to grow up in their family of origin?
I mean, I feel everybody should, if they can. I have no problem with that.
I just wanted to clarify and make sure I understood correctly an answer that you gave earlier. He was, I guess, not wanting to go to the bathroom during the day. And was it your sister that recommended that you give him, I guess, Miralax to help him not be able to hold it in?
I called my aunt. I have an autism cousin and I have an autistic grandson. And I called them and asked them questions when he wouldn't go to the bathroom except for at nighttime. And then he didn't move for a couple nights, which I know is not good. After a couple nights, eventually you have to go. So I even spoke with the therapist at what is the place he was going to, speech therapy. And she even suggested that I put a little Miralax in his juice if he was, to help him go to the bathroom.
Did you ever speak to his medical doctor about that as well?
No, I spoke to because when we seen the doctor, no, it was at his doctor appointment fell after. But he went to the bathroom after I put a little bit in there.
You had mentioned Miss Ritchie. Was she a physical therapist or an occupational? What kind of a therapist was she?
I think she was behavior and occupational therapist.
She only treated him for roughly 3 months?
Yeah, that's how many visits I believe that was, the time that that was recommended for how many visits that she could have.
Do you remember when that therapy ended?
Oh my goodness. Miss Ritchie stopped coming. I can't give you the exact date. No, I can't give you the exact date. Miss Ritchie stopped coming.
You don't have to have the exact date. Just roughly, was it 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago?
Miss Ritchie stopped coming right before summer. I want to say she stopped coming in May or June. It was right before school got out.
So May, June of 2022. Are
Yes,
the
ma'am.
parents providing financial support for Michael?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it adequate to meet all of his needs?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Ragg,
Yes, sir.
do you feel like there's a balance between kind of Dr. Chapman being the fun runaround parent and Miss Cindy being the sit, read, play on the tablet kind of parent?
Well, to be honest, no. I think Dr. Chapman spends more time with Michael than Cindy does. Why? This is one of our visits. That's the only time I can speak for.
You think Dr. Chapman spends a lot more time with his son than Miss Cindy does? Pass the witness. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. One more, Judge. I apologize.
It's okay.
Ms. Ragg, I just want to ask this question. Did you have, you said that you had spoken several months ago with Miss Cindy about, or I may have the time wrong there, but you'd spoken to Miss Cindy about Michael possibly being autistic?
Yeah, that was like when Michael first came, when we were doing the visits, because, of course, when he came, the weather wasn't good. So the hour was spent in the house. And she said, and she the one, because he was talking, she was like, they said he would be nonverbal. And of course, I guess she said I got him talking. I just talked to him.
Did it seem to you that Miss Cindy had any difficulty understanding what you were talking about?
I don't think so. She said it.
I'm sorry, you don't think so? What?
I don't think so. She the one said it.
She brought it up with you?
Yeah, she the one said it.
And you didn't have any problems having that conversation with her?
She just said she was told he was supposed to be nonverbal. No, I mean, at the time, he wasn't really talking. He was running around, but then, like I say, he was speaking a little words and stuff. So she was like, wow, he talks.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because we've heard that Miss Cindy might have some, I guess, dementia issues.
You want me to answer that question?
Well,
I mean, she has said at times that there's things she can't remember, but I mean, I don't know what you want, but she has said she had problems remembering stuff.
Well, what I want is for Michael to go back and live with the Chapmans and you go on and enjoy your time. How do you feel about that?
I mean, if that's a decision that's made, I will pack him up and he'll be ready.
But I also kind of want you to still be part of his life because I think you're a wonderful person.
We have no problem with that.
And so what I'm asking specifically right now is, did you think that Cindy's ever had an issue understanding what y'all have spoken about? I mean, everybody forgets stuff, but, in regards to Michael, can she take care of him with Dr. Chapman's help or with your help?
I can't answer that. I'm sorry. I don't know. I can't answer that.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. Pass the witness.
Anybody else have any questions, Ms. Ragg? No. Okay, I have some questions. Ms. Ragg, these are kind of all over the place based upon what all these other lawyers have asked you, okay?
Yeah.
So you said Dr. Chapman and Ms. Miller from Darnell.
I know Dr. Chapman.
Dr. Chapman.
Please wait till the judge finishes asking her question. Thank you.
Okay. Did you work at Darnell?
No, I was a patient. My husband's a veteran.
Your husband's a veteran?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how long had you known Dr. Chapman before Michael came to live with y'all?
We've been going to Darnell probably over 3 years.
Okay. And where do you live in relation to where the Chapmans live?
I live in Killeen.
And where do they live?
In Cove. I was told they live in Cove.
Okay, so not really that far, right? Okay. Now, you mentioned a lot of fun things to eat that Michael eats. Does he eat fruits?
You know what? He will eat the yogurts, fruit stuff, but like I said, I don't try to give him strawberries. I don't try to give him oranges. I don't try bananas. He will gnaw on an apple, but I think, like I said, I think it's a texture thing. So I buy the fruit, like I say, the natural fruit yogurts and stuff to try to give him the fruit and vegetables. And then, of course, the veggie sticks and the veggie puffs.
Will he eat, like, if you cut some broccoli or some squash or something, it's kind of soft, will he eat that?
No. No.
Potatoes, rice?
He likes French fries. He will eat French fries. We did some little fried square potatoes. He ate those. Like I said, he ate French fries. He ate those. He didn't eat the rice. We tried, but he didn't eat the rice.
Okay. No green beans, huh?
Oh no.
Macaroni and cheese?
He took a couple bites, but he didn't eat it all like he do everything else.
Tacos?
Soft taco. He'll eat a soft taco because he likes quesadillas, so I can put little hamburger meat in and he will eat. Yes, ma'am. Or some pepperoni.
What about eggs? What about scrambled eggs?
No.
Okay.
He wouldn't eat the scrambled eggs. Okay. I even tried the cruise boat. He wouldn't eat them in it.
You even tried what after scrambled eggs?
We tried to give him scrambled eggs on the cruise boat too. He wouldn't even eat them then. No.
Sorry, scrambled eggs what on the
cruise? We tried to give him some scrambled eggs, but he wouldn't know. He ate everything else. He ate the bacon, the sausage. He ate the waffle, but he wouldn't eat the eggs. I think it's a texture thing. I don't know why, but sometimes he'll taste stuff and he'll just spit it back out.
Did you get the word cruise, Miss Greenwald?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. I know I had to think about it too. Okay. Miss Ragg, what do Dr. Chapman and Ms. Miller say about Michael when he came to you about him not being potty trained?
They didn't say nothing.
Okay. Do y'all discuss it now?
No. They just say when we get the report back, like he'll say, went to the bathroom, diaper change, went to the bathroom, no diaper change in the email. No, they don't say anything.
So when he leaves your house, he has pull-ups on or underwear?
Pull-ups.
Okay, when he comes back, does he have pull-ups on?
Yeah.
Are they clean?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay. How, when Michael, like say on Wednesdays, what time did Chapmans come over to y'all's house?
As recently, now they come from 4 to 6.
Okay. And how does Michael react when his parents come over?
He plays with them. He runs. Oh, shoot this thing. Did you get the voice fixed on the thing? He talks. He runs. He goes up to them. They play. I mean, like he's happy to see him.
Okay. What does he call his mom and his dad?
I think they say mommy and daddy a lot because recently he come home and keep saying mommy, daddy, mommy, daddy, mommy, daddy. So I assume that's what they're saying to him.
When he leaves for visits on Saturday, is he okay to go off with them?
Yeah, I put his coat on and I say there and he goes with them and gets in the car. Dr. Chapman takes his hand and walks into the car.
Okay, and how is he when he comes home from those visits?
He's fine. He tell him
okay.
He walks out, comes straight in the house and don't look back.
Okay. And when they come over for Wednesday visits, what do y'all do?
Now that the weather's getting better, they go to the park. So
and walk.
We go to Lions Park, yeah. And they like when the one that just passed, we went to Lions Park. They sat in the car for about 10, 15 minutes. Then they played on the playground for about 15 minutes. And then him and Michael left walking. And then they came back about 15 minutes before the visit was over.
Okay.
15 minutes what? They came back 15 minutes and then what?
15 minutes before the visit was over.
Okay, thank you.
Miss Ragg, a hypothetical situation, and I hope this doesn't ever happen, but what if they're on a visit and Dad and Michael are playing and something happens to Dad? What could Mom do?
I don't think she could do nothing. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. I'm sorry.
Does she have a phone with her? Do you know if she has a phone?
She does have a phone, but usually Michael has her phone.
Okay. Let's talk about school. He's in kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
How does he do in school?
He does good. He has his moments, but the teacher said he's a good student.
Say that again. I didn't get that.
I'm sorry. He does good in school. The teacher says he's a good student.
The teacher says he's a good student. Okay. Does he socialize with some of his classmates?
I think they're working on social skills because he likes to, like she said the other day, they were having a video thing and he jumped up and wanted to go touch the screen and she had to tell him to sit down. So she said she has to keep Michael next to her at school when they go outside because he tries to walk on.
Does he, goes to school, he comes home, hangs out at your house, he goes to on visits with his parents. Does he do any other extracurricular stuff, or do y'all go to church, or what else do y'all do?
Yeah, we go to church, and we take him to water parks. We went to the state fair. We went to Six Flags. He don't went on a cruise. He don't went to Slitterbomb. We don't went to Kalari, that big water park over there. He does Boy Scouts. He was doing music, but the guy left that was trying to help him with the piano. So I'm trying to find another person.
Okay. Okay. Miss Rag, does he get some speech therapy at school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And does he do any speech therapy out of school?
Other than me and him talking together, and we read.
Okay. What for let's see, he's about 5.5 now, right? Probably a little bit more than 5.5. How would you say his vocabulary has gotten?
It's good. I mean, how can I say, from the time I got him to now, I won't say his vocabulary, because he's starting to say juice and stuff more. But I won't say his vocabulary improved at least by 35%. Of course, there's more of the stuff he needs to learn how to say and stuff like that. But
okay, like when his parents come to see him, do they talk the whole time, or what? Or are they communicating?
Well, they usually walking, so I don't know what they talk, if he's talking to them while they're walking or not.
Okay. Well, when he comes home from school, does he yak, yak, yak? What does he do when he comes home from school?
When he comes from school, we come in. Of course, we do our bathroom routine when he gets off the bus. And then, of course, you see he actually juice and snacks, because that's a routine after school. He gets a snack. So he's used to juice. So he'll say juice, chips, or yogurt, which Miss Taylor heard him say that after school. So he's used to that routine. And then, of course, I'm trying to get him to say potty more. So sometimes I still have to say bathroom, and he'll go. He is starting to repeat it after me. He will say bathroom when I say bathroom. He doesn't say a lot unless it ain't like he's just holding a conversation. No.
Okay. Now, Miss Rag, you said you raised 15 kids.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a lot of kids.
Yes, ma'am.
Are they all yours? Are they your husband's? They're foster kids? Where'd you get all those kids?
Wait a minute. Miss Rag.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Just repeat that.
Okay. So Miss Rag, you said you raised 15 kids. Where'd you get all those 15 kids?
6 of them were mine.
Okay.
4 of them was nieces and nephews, and 3 of them the other ones belong to relatives.
Okay. Are there any other people in y'all's home other than you and your husband and Michael now?
My son, Carlos. My daughter, Carlos just turned 32. He comes and visits when he's a contractor for the military. So when he's in town, he comes and visits. My daughter drives over almost 2 times a month, because they got stationed at Fort Gordon. So she drives in and visits with the baby.
So day to day, it's you, your husband, and Michael, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is sort of out of order, but what does Michael do about lunches and snacks at school?
So I pack him a lunch. So every morning I get up, I try to give him a yogurt or a waffle or something, because he's up at 6:30, because I try to get him to go to the bathroom before he goes to school, and hopefully we can get the number 2 in before he goes. So that's one problem we got to worry about. But sometimes he do, sometimes he won't. But I pack a lunch. I send him a Pediasure every day, 3 juices. I send him snacks. He gets cream. He gets string cheese. Because they have snacks twice a day. And then I try to do the Lunchable thing, but he wouldn't eat it. I made him peanut butter and jelly sandwich to take to school, but I think because it might have got a little smashed, so the teacher they said he wouldn't. Yeah, he finished, believe me. So he didn't eat it, but yeah, I pack him a big thing that he takes to school every day for his snacks. I pack him Pop-Tart bites, because of when I feed him, it's kind of early, and then the bus comes, and I think they don't start feeding the kids at school till like 8:30. So I send him his Pop-Tart bites, and he'll start with that. And then she said they'll have a snack. Then at lunchtime, they will try to see if he'll eat the food. If it's something he likes, like the pizza sticks or something, he'll eat them. He went around trying to take the other kids' pizza sticks one day. So yeah, if it's something he likes, he will eat that at school. But
okay, I'm sorry, go on. You finished?
I always make sure there's a Pediasure or something there for, just in case there's a part of the day where he won't eat what they're offering.
Now, you said the bus comes, and I think the bus just brought him back home a little while ago. Is the bus like all grades, elementary? What about that?
I think most of the buses, the special needs kids is on the bus for the ESC program that Michael's in.
Okay. So it's not, I can't think what the word is. It's not inclusion with all, I mean, it's all
No.
Okay, especially, okay.
No.
Okay, Miss Reg, what is your background to be able to raise all these kids and to know all this stuff? And tell me, and your husband's a veteran, so what's your background?
Okay, I'll start with my husband first. My husband he's a retired veteran. He has a master's degree. And then, of course, I worked 20 years in public transportation, driving light rail trains, trolley buses. I have a bachelor's in early childhood education. And of course, I just finished like 6 different degrees at CTC in the hospitality field.
Wait a minute. You just finished what? And slow down a little, Miss Rag.
Six different associate's degrees in the hospitality field. I like to teach kids how to cook. So I did that, and pretty much I take care of Michael.
Miss Rag, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you and your husband?
I'm 58. My husband's 49.
Okay. You robbed the cradle, huh?
Yes.
Okay. And is he the father of your children?
No, we married after my second divorce.
Okay. Now, how does Michael, when he came, did he like to take a bath?
At first, he was kind of scared of the water. We had to get him used to it, and so he would cry at first. He still don't like you putting it in his face or his hair, and then so. But now he I think because when we went swimming, I think that kind of helped when he played at the Lions Park in the pool. When he went out there and he realized so it became a lot easier. So after we played the park at the water park.
Okay. So now he bathes. Okay. What about how is his sleep? Has he always slept well? Does he have better sleeping habits now?
Yeah, always sleep habits. Yeah, he's getting he's really good now. I put him to bed between 7:30 and 8 because he has to get up so early. And so at first he used to wake up or he sleep bad. He sleeps kind of around the bed. So I have to go in there sometime and make sure he ain't close to the edge. But yeah, he's been really good. He wakes up still at 6 in the morning though, without me even going. He's waking up at 6.
Okay. Ma'am, you visited you said
did my thing die?
ARD.
Oh, I'm sorry. It cut you off. I don't know if that's my thing dying, but it cut you off. I'm sorry.
You said that Michael has an ARD meeting on Friday, correct?
Yes, ma'am. At 3 o'clock.
Have you talked to the parents about any of the ARD meetings?
No.
Do they know about them? Do you know?
I don't know. I always let Miss Taylor know what's going on, but I don't know if they ain't asked.
Okay, so you haven't seen the parents at any of the ARD meetings, right?
No.
Okay, and you don't know whether they even know about them, correct?
And I don't know if like I said, I don't tell stuff. I don't know if I'm authorized to even invite somebody.
Wait, you don't what?
I don't know if I'm authorized to invite somebody to those. So, but they do know the people do know that Michael's in a placement, and they do know the parents' name.
Okay, good. The lawyers talked to you a bunch about Michael going home with his parents, maybe going on some longer visitations or things like that. Based on your observation of the parents, if Mr. Miller's at work or playing baseball, and what is Miss Cindy able to do with little Michael?
I don't think too much. I mean, I guess she can watch him while he plays, but I don't think she can interact with him a lot.
Have you seen her? Does she ever drive up to your house, or is it always Dr. Chapman?
It's always been Dr. Chapman that I seen when I could say she don't, but it's always Dr. Chapman when I seen it.
Okay, thank you. Miss Rag, thank you. You need to stay on because you're a caregiver. Okay, y'all, it's I think it's 5 o'clock. 5:02.
If it died, my husband said he fixed my phone, so if it died, I'll try to come back in.
Okay. Well, actually, Miss Rag, you can be excused. Miss Velasquez or Mr. Sturmer, Miss Mystic, somebody will be in touch with you. You're excused for the day, okay?
Have a nice day.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. You too.